Awesome. Hello, friends, creators, beautiful people. Welcome to episode 2 of the Livecast series. And today I would like to speak to you about the topic of alignment. Awesome. One second. Hello, I can hear myself in the live stream. People. Yeah. Welcome to episode 2 nice. Of the Livecast series. And today I would like to speak to you about... Okay, well, at least I know it's live, right? It's working. So, let's see. Let me figure out how all this works. Just one second. Okay, awesome. Now, where are my comments coming in? Just one second. This is how it is. When you start a new project, there are all these things that have to figure out, but at the same time, if waiting for all the ducks being in a row and everything being perfect, we would never start. And how would I ever know what's not working without actually going live, right? So no worries, worked it out. Hello, Yelena. Thank you so much for sending me hearts. It is, it is unsettling, so I really appreciate you also letting me know that the chat is working. So today I would like to speak about the topic of alignment, and specifically alignment in life and work. And to me, these two topics are actually, to me, life and work are almost one, or they are like the yin and yang of each other. They're not so separate. So when we do work that we don't feel aligned with, right? The proverbial 9 to 5, it feels like work. It feels separate from us, our soul. But when the work is the true work of the soul, the one that fills you up, then it is life. It is so part of life. So perhaps that's a good segue to talk about that alignment. Hey Vicky, awesome, good to see you. So I won't be looking at the comments all the time because I noticed in the first stream that it was kind of breaking my flow a little bit, but I will look at it at certain points and they will be in the replay. So yes. Now, what do I mean by alignment? So it's when the desire of the mind matches the desire of the heart. This is not my original concept. I heard it in one of the many spiritual teachings that I kind of dove into in my 20s. But that really stuck with me. The idea of that the desire of the mind meets the desire of the heart. And it's even a skill to know what is the desire of the mind versus the desire of the heart, right? How do you distinguish between the two? And there is actually a visceral sensation in the body. So the desire of the mind is an intellectual thing. It's the thing that happens in your thoughts, in your heads, in the concept, it's concepts. It's conceptual. It's oftentimes look, desire of the mind is not a bad thing. We need that. We need the logical thinking. The important thing is to distinguish between the two. And then the desire of the heart is the thing that we feel in the body. And I keep putting my hands on my chest because this is where I feel it. Feel it here in my solar plexus, feel it in my belly, the intuition. So all these things happen in the body. The thoughts do create sensations in the body, but for me personally, there is a difference between knowing what the desire of my heart is, and it is in my chest, it really is, and then the desire of the mind. And now, why is that so important? Why does this tool? I am coming to realize that this is if nothing else, this is the number one tool to being a happy, productive artist, a happy human being, and just living life with satisfaction and very minimal regrets. Maybe there is a space where there are no regrets. I don't know. I'm not there. But I mean, the idea of leaning towards that space of creative freedom and just not having all the brakes on really, really like is attractive to me. So, and that happens during alignment. I'll give you a very specific example. So today we were talking with my beautiful, lovely husband about building the house. You know, we constantly talk about it. So for context, I live on a bush block in Australia. It's raw land that we bought years ago with a dream of building a house. And we are gathering resources, you know, because we do live in a physical world and we do need money to build a house, a lot of money. And we want to build a natural home of hempcrete. And that's a dream that I'm not willing to negotiate, and neither is my husband. Like, we really want to build this very special house, and that requires resources. And we didn't want to stay away from the land so long. Like, who knows, it might take another 10 years, you know, it might take 20. Like, I don't know how long it's gonna take. And there are things that are outside of my power that affect it. So like interest rates, right? And world events. So my husband was saying like, oh, so when do you think your business is gonna hit, you know, like pick up and we have the resources? And back in the day, that question, like, it used to set me off like crazy. And when I say back in the day, it's like last year. I'm actually only coming into this clarity this year, 2023. So it used to set me off like wildfire, because it would trigger this feeling, like this scratchy feeling, like almost in my spine of like, well, why are you asking me this? How do I know? You know, like all the thoughts. And like, I have 2 small children. I have other responsibilities in life, you know, and business and art are part of my life. So, but today it didn't really set me off. And I was reflecting on it as in like, what's changed? And the thing that has changed, I realized, is that right now my actions, my decisions are in alignment with my values and the way I want to live my life, as in create art, you know, live on my land. That's huge. Be there with my children in this part of their life when they're little, you know, like I want to grow food, like all these things align. And building a house has become one of the things that are my big, you know, things that I'm working on, but it's not the thing, which used to be for many, many, many years. And it's something that is hard to attain just like this, right? Building a house is not something you snap your fingers and it happens. So that's why alignment is so powerful, that when you are in alignment, you don't waste energy on reacting to all the things that used to create a very strong emotional response in a negative way. So I want to read this quote. And I read this when I was in my early 20s. I was reading the teachings of Don Juan, documented by Carlos Castaneda. And this quote, this was in the days of my corporate life. When I first started to work in corporate, I was already feeling like this is totally not aligned for me. And at lunchtime, I used to go out on the rooftop deck that they have. And there was like a little bench with a little tree growing. And I used to sit there in the sun, eat my sandwich, and read Carlos Castaneda books and dream of a life that I really wanted to have. You know, I knew that what I was doing right now is not it, but I didn't know what is it. So this quote, like I remember it struck me like lightning. Okay, so I'll read it. And the quote is about the path of heart. So Don Juan was a shaman in Arizona, was it? In the desert, I think in Sedona Desert, and he basically transmitted his teachings through Carlos Castaneda. That's how I know it. So he's talking about the path of heart, and it goes, anything is one of a million paths. Therefore, you must always keep in mind that a path is only a path. If you feel you should not follow it, you must not stay on it under any conditions. All paths are the same. They lead nowhere, which is true. All the stuff we do, we have goals, we meet them or we don't meet them, but ultimately we are all having a life experience. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey, right? So all paths are the same. They lead nowhere. They are paths going through the bush or into the bush, right? Different path, same outcome, like same destination, you can say, and that is like life, like traveling through life. Does this path have a heart? Like, ask yourself, does this path have a heart? If it does, the path is good. If it doesn't, it is of no use. One path makes for a joyful journey. As long as you follow it, you are one with it. And this is that idea of life and work being in alignment. You are one with it. The other will make you curse your life. One makes you strong, the other weakens you. And that just like stuck with me, like seriously, all through my life. I always now think like, is this path of heart? And in the earlier years, it was really hard to sort of follow this because, having a job, requiring an income, and like, did I walk out of my corporate job the moment I heard this? Like, I didn't, like, what was stopping me? And there is like, once the clarity happens, there is a journey to reach that point of alignment. And it's work, it's discipline. And more importantly than anything else, it's being totally honest with yourself. There are times where we've put in so much energy and effort and stakes into something happening, and it doesn't work out. And like, do we walk away from it? There was a time, so I live in Australia, and there is this movie theater experience that I don't know if it's still on, but it used to be. It's called Gold Class Movie, where you go into the movie theater with exclusive seats. There's only like maybe 10 or 15. They're reclining seats. You have a little table near you, and you even order dinner and drinks. So they bring you dinner. It's like a large IMAX screen, and it costs 3 times more than a regular movie. So, if you have a movie that you really love or you want to have a date night, you go to the Gold Class Movie experience. So my husband and I went one time, and the movie sucked. It just sucked. It was painful. And we were like, oh, so should we walk out? We've invested so much. We've organized a date night. We've paid so much money. Like, the food hasn't even come. Should we walk out? So it's that kind of experience when you have alignment and you've invested so much, and then you have the clarity of, hey, this is not in alignment. How do you walk out? And in the case of a movie theater, it's so easy, right? You just get up and leave and do something else. And if you stay, you're still paying the price. That's the thing. Staying doesn't actually eliminate the pain, because not only you've already invested all the resources, now you get to spend your precious time and life energy to experience something you don't like. So having a movie is an easy decision. But I tell you, when we live in Australia, we have family in the United States, our parents. So for my children, that's grandparents. And we really wanted the children to have that grandparent experience and to have their cousins. So we decided to move to America for a year and live there so that the children can have that big family experience, so that they know who grandma and grandpa is, what they smell like, not just what they look like on FaceTime, So we've prepared everything. We were ready to go, and that was March, 2020 or whatever, right before the pandemic, like right before the pandemic. We had tickets, we packed our bags, we canceled our lease, everything. And then the pandemic happened and we didn't go. Now we were already packed, we've eliminated all our stuff. What do we do now? So we thought, okay, well, actually, another thing that I wanted to do is to move to a warmer climate, because right now I live in the mountains, and it's, for Australia, it's quite cold, even though we're in the middle of winter and I'm in a t-shirt and it's okay. But it's still like, I thought, I want it to be summer all the time. So we thought, okay, let's take this experience and move down the mountain to the tropical area. We got organized. We found a house. We actually broke the lease on our current house, which cost us thousands of dollars, and we moved. Okay. So because we had to re-sign the lease because we were not moving to America, we signed a new lease for 6 months, I think. But then we broke it and we moved down the mountain to a warm climate. And I looked at the house. I was so excited. It had a beautiful backyard, enormous house. Okay. So we go to sleep, and the first day I wake up, and like right there in the moment, I feel this is not right. Imagine the investment. Like, I'm getting teary-eyed because I remember that day so well. Like, all the work that we have put in to move, and like my children have changed schools. Like, it was huge. So we actually pulled out my son from school. We organized homeschooling for him for that period of time. My daughter was still really little, not in school. So yeah. And what I want to say here also is that alignment leaves cues. Alignment is a feeling when you just know. It's not a question. So sometimes we are like, oh, I'm not sure. Should I go this way or that way? That is not a point of alignment. That is exploration. And it's important in order to reach alignment. It's important to ask questions. But when alignment clicks in, it's irrefutable. I didn't want to have that feeling that morning. I woke up and I was just like, oh my gosh, this was a mistake. So I had to go to town, and I met a friend for tea, and I was telling her like about the situation. And she was saying, well, basically the point is we workshop through it. But in that moment, I knew that this is not going to work. And we just signed the 12 months lease. And in Australia, to break a lease, you have to pay 3 months of rent. And our rent is crazy expensive, So it was a very big thing. But I just knew it was not going to work. And then on top of it, after a while, I realized, so the house was one of those heritage houses, beautiful, and it had this like lightly pink walls, and it was driving me insane. I didn't know this, but I have very high sensitivity to color. If you see my environment, it's all white because I love white and I love bright colors, but I love them in apparel, in accessories, as accents. But as a wall space, having pink all around me was literally like just not comfortable for me. And the other thing is that I couldn't change it. It was a rental house, so I couldn't repaint it. It felt like there was no way to fix this thing. But in any case, the way that story ends is that after 9 months, we moved back to the mountain. We broke the lease again, and we have made some decisions. My son went back to school. My daughter goes to the same school now. So it's all kind of like back in alignment, and that felt so good. So good. But the point I want to share about this story is that I woke up in the morning, I opened my eyes, and I just knew this was wrong. There was no yet any concrete, logical thing to it. I haven't even lived here yet. I just knew. I'm just gonna have a look at the comments. Can you hear me and see me all good? Can you let me know in the comments if you can hear me? I'm assuming everything is okay with the live cast, but I'm just going to keep going. And if it hasn't worked, then it's okay. I have the recording, which I can upload, no problem. So, alignment leaves cues. And so I've shared with you, like I've had other events like this in life where it was irrefutable that there was a misalignment. But then again, there are points where there is alignment. So that also is like a lightning bulb moment. Earlier this year, I was in the garden and I was kind of doing the veggies and stuff. And in that moment, I felt like I'm always reflecting about the business and like, am I on the right path? Am I doing as much art as I want to? Should I be doing this offers? Should I be doing other offers? Where should I spend my time? And I make some changes, but then others, until I have clarity, I don't act, because, okay, let me rephrase that. So, because that's a tricky thing. Sometimes, in order to gain clarity, I have to act. Like, in order to work out all the technical things and the comments and all that stuff, make sure that all the Wi-Fi stuff is working, I have to go live, right? And sometimes make a mess. That's one thing. But if making these big decisions, like let's say I have an offer in a business and I'm thinking, should I keep going with this offer or should I change it? Is this offer, this is how I go about it, is this offer in alignment with what I want or not? That's the key. So I do mindset coaching with Shazap every month. And something that she has taught me is that it's okay to make any decision. You just have to like your reasons for that decision. It's that idea of like any path is just a path. It doesn't matter. I just really want to know whether this is working or not. Hold on. I think there is a way I can see the comments. Window, comments. Okay, comments and reactions. Here we go. Awesome. Elena says, you are doing great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I was in the garden and I remember thinking or feeling, it was like that lightning bulb moment of, yes, I want this. So for ages, I thought, should I just drop the business and be a mom full time? Because, it is very much a balance. And there are times when, like, I would love to do so many crafts and projects with my children, I would love to always be there when they wake up every single day and read them a book at night. And with a business, sometimes I can do it and sometimes I cannot, because I have an email to write, I have artwork to do, I have an offer to create, comments to respond to. So, but in that moment, it felt to me like, yes, I want this. I want this. This is in alignment. So, and it was that same visceral feeling of like, so the other way, the house that I told you about, that felt unaligned, whereas this one felt aligned. And from that moment, I haven't questioned it, because doubt is another thing that, you know, that quote that doubt kills way more dreams than fear ever will. So doubt is okay, cool. I've got a comment, so I know it's working. I mean, you see, like right now I'm trying to talk, but I'm also thinking like, oh my gosh, is this even live? So let me set that aside and go back into the moment. So doubt kills more dreams than fear ever will. So until that point, I was driving with the brakes on, truly, because I was constantly questioning if this is what I should be doing. Should. So should is another one of those trigger words that if you hear yourself saying, should I be doing this? It's a spotlight that tells you to examine your motivations. It's not always bad, but it's a point to examine it. So I was asking myself, should I continue the business? And there are so many good things about it, you know, especially the connection that we have in our community at the Kawaii Drawing Club. Like even the thought of not having that in my life, just like, well, wait a second. No, I love the club. Like I love my people. I love doing this. This is so in alignment. And then I love my children and my family and everything. So I was for years in this should space. Should I continue doing this? And I didn't quit. I didn't quit until having clarity, because I liked my reasons for doing the work that I do. But when I was gardening earlier this year, I felt like, yes, I want to continue this. I like this life. And I believe that I am having a full alive experience while doing the business and the children and life at the same time. Like the flip side of it, if I became a full-time mom, I probably would feel resentment. I probably would feel, oh, but I want to do something creative, you know, like I already know myself. I'm like a busy bee. Like I love to do stuff and to share. I really love to share. I was speaking in the first episode of the Livecast about my values, and my values are to create, co-create, and elevate. So create for myself. I've got to organize my creative practice first. It's that idea of, if you are not complete in yourself, how can you help anyone else? I'm also passionate, not passionate, but I also know about permaculture. I practice permaculture in my garden, and it's a system designed to mimic nature in the garden, to minimize the amount of work I do as the gardener, and instead it's using good design to have natural systems work with each other. So, for example, you know, when you go into a forest, the most healthy ecosystem on Earth is a forest. And in the forest, you have many layers. So you have your grass layer, right? That you actually have a root layer below it. You have a root layer like bulbs and things like potatoes, right? If we're thinking about the garden, you have your root layer, you have your grass layer, you have bushes and things. Then you have your small trees, big trees, and then you have little ivy plants using the trees to go up. And all of these levels work in unison with each other. And they support each other. So that same idea we can apply to our backyard garden. We can plant our garden in the same way and then minimize the amount of work it takes to actually produce the food. So the grass covers the earth and stops evaporation, you know, but it's the kind of grass you put there that matters. Now, it's the same in life. So I don't talk much about permaculture online publicly, because I love to talk about creativity and human experience and making art. But that idea, like I love a good system, and I love the idea of things growing without having to force them, just because they are in alignment. They're in alignment with the natural flows. So in a way, that permaculture garden is in alignment with nature's way, and therefore it grows. And this is what I have been seeking to create in my life. I didn't realize I was doing that. That's the thing. I didn't think of it in those terms. I just thought, like, should I do this or should I not? And now I've decided, yes, I want to do this. And instead of constantly putting my energy in, should I do this? I started to think more, how can I multiply what I'm doing? Like, that's it. It's decided. I'm doing this. Now, how can I improve my experience? How can I offer more value to the people in my life, at the club, in YouTube? And hence, like, this series was born out of the fact that I now have energy to share. I have energy to give because I actually feel full and I want to share, instead of creating from the space of I have to, as in like, well, I need to show up on YouTube once a week so that the algorithm ranks it. And it's a fact, right? But that's not my motivation. My motivation is I want to share. I want to share. This is not a weekly content piece. This is actually my own passion project, the Livecast. It's the stuff that I want to share. And I use a lot of personal examples because this is not a marketing exercise, It's not. It's a share. And I believe that we are each having an individual experience of life. And my life is not your life. So if you ask me, what should I do, right? What should I do? I'm going to say it depends on your situation. I don't know what's right for you, but I share my story because it might trigger an insight in you about what's in alignment for you. Stories are the most powerful way to transmit wisdom and information. So, Joseph Campbell, The Power of Myth, he talks about how, here's a quote, best things in life cannot be told. They don't have words. They can only be perceived through myth. Stories are a vehicle for sharing these insights that don't have words to express them. So that's why I share my stories that so far I am having in life and key moments. This is the purpose and the passion behind being here right now, sharing with you. And each week, like, I don't actually know what I'm going to talk about next week. I think the concept will come during the week. So let me take a moment to have a look at the comments. Avelaine, I hope I'm saying it correctly. Welcome. I didn't research a movie once, and when we went to the movies, it was terrible. Yeah, exactly. I decided to leave and ask staff if we could change to something else. We did, and it was so much better. Exactly, right? But like, if you can make that shift on a small scale of a movie, perhaps that gives you confidence to make that shift on a bigger scale of like moving houses or like this really big decisions in life. And there is actually another story that I wanted to share with you here. And this is a good segue of like knowing about that misalignment. I'll keep it brief. I'll do my best. And that was actually, we've moved between Australia and United States like 4 times. And there was, I'll spare you the details. There is a reason for it. And so this time we were moving from Australia to United States We wanted to have children. We wanted to be near our family. You know, this is right on that cusp. Let me just rewind back a little bit. After I finished art school, my husband and I went on this year-long journey. We've always wanted to travel for a year. So at that point, we took all the savings that we had, and we knew that we wanted to have, no, actually, we didn't know that we wanted to have children. We were still in that mindset of like, we don't really need to do that, you know? Why? Because anyway, I didn't see myself as a mother. I wasn't really thinking about it. That's just not what was on my mind at the time. But we went a year to travel, and part of the travel was living on a permaculture farm with Jeff Lawton and learning all about permaculture. And while we were there, so many insights have happened. And one of them was the idea is that I actually do see myself as a mother. I do want to have that homestead, and I could see like a beautiful house in the middle of the gardens with children and my art studio, and living in the bliss of creativity, and you know, everything is rosy, right? Like that's the vision. And then the life reality, on the one hand, it is like that. No, on the one hand, it is not like that. You know, on the one hand, the reality is not like the rosy vision. But on the other hand, it is. And it is in a way of how I feel about my daily life experience. So in that moment, we decided that after this 12 months trip, we are going to pack up our stuff. We had our stuff in storage in Australia, and we're going to move back to United States, buy land, and be near family and have children. That was like, I mean, that sounds like a very sound plan, right? And we did that. We shipped all the boxes, and we got on a plane, and we were flying home. And as the plane was taking off, I had the realization that this is wrong. Can you imagine? The stakes of that decision? You know, but when alignment hits, there's no way to refute it. So yeah, that's how it is. Hey, Pinky, welcome. Cool. So yeah, I think you get the point. I really invite you to ask yourself about what's in alignment for you, and to start to evaluate everything you do and every decision, once from the logical perspective, but also once from the sensory heart perspective. And when moments of clarity strike, to trust. One is to trust your own wisdom. Trust your wisdom, not my wisdom, not the book's wisdom, not your teacher's wisdom, but your wisdom, not even your partner's wisdom, you know? So there is a balance between being respectful to, like for my partner, he has his path as well, and I have to honor it, and I want to honor it and align with it. And I have my path, and it's about finding ways to discuss, first of all, to really clarify what's in alignment and what's not. But ultimately, only you know what is best for you, and to trust and act out of that trust, and to test things, to experiment many things. I was reading a book this morning, Fake Perfection, it's called, and it's like a collection of tiny little essays about creativity. And he calls it like living a dangerous life, you know, dangerous as in like bold, aligned, like honest with yourself, dangerous in that way. And the chapter was about, how did it go? Something about you don't know like which method is going to work, so try them all. Something like that. So I actually thought it was really good. You have to try many things. Try small, fail small, and then adjust. And sometimes you will try big things, like moving countries, like moving houses, and they won't work. And you will change. After we moved to America, my mom was sick with cancer. So it kind of complicated things. And we stayed there for a year and we cared for my mom. And then we moved back to Australia, after a year. And we have settled here and have, had our 2 children, while being respectful and honoring our family and communicating with them at every point of like, why are we making this decision? And believe me, before we made that decision, we talked and talked and talked and talked and tried to work it out in a way that, that satisfied as many alignment points in the individuals, and by the time we actually moved here, everyone was on board. Like, we all agreed that this is the best that we need to do right now. And the same on a family unit, like an immediate family unit between husband and wife or friends or partners, whatever, like whenever you are in cooperation or collaboration with someone, it is about figuring out what is their position, what is my position, what are we actually disagreeing on? Because sometimes it's not exactly Juan might be saying one thing, but I'm hearing a different thing. So I would say like, okay, so what I hear you say is da 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 da, and he would say, well, no, actually, that's not what I'm saying at all, right? So it's about finding those alignments, and then because in the core we do align, we figure out a way to move forward. And sometimes we don't agree, and that's okay too. And this is where it's about having that honesty and trust in yourself to walk your own path, So this building that I'm standing on right now, we built it by hand on our property. It's started out as a shed, and then we've put the floor and everything. And there was a point where Juan and I have disagreed on the level of finish that we need to have in order to proceed. And I said, look, babe, I respect you so much. This is my studio and I decide, right? It doesn't really affect his day to day. In this case, it is my decision and I stand by it. And he says, well, I think in 2 months you're going to ask for this other thing. And this, I say this with so much love as an example of trusting yourself. And I said, it's possible. And I reserve my right to change my mind. Okay? But right now, this is what I believe, and I'm going to go with it. That's fine. Yeah. So, Pinky says, Alicia, that gut feeling, so many people ignore it, but you just have to trust yourself. Exactly. It won't ever lead you astray. So I'll leave it here. Let me know what other topics you would like to hear about. And on my end, I will continue to tune into my gut feeling and see what is it that I really feel that I want to share with you about creativity, about being an artist, about having a life experience, and all that. Yeah. So if you want to support my work, if you want to support your this project, I invite you to visit my website, tatianadenis.com, sign up to the mini course that's there, join my world, and then we can continue co-creating together. And if you want to support it even more, tell a friend about this project, tune in together. You will actually be perpetuating creativity, because I really do believe that our purpose in life is to create, and create takes so many forms. It's not just visual, it's every mode of creativity. But we humans have this ability to imagine something and then manifest it in life. So animals and plants, they usually they have some imagination, right? Like a wolf can predict how the bunny would move, but a lot of it is instinctual, right? A wolf is not thinking of, well, I will, build a contraption, or a wolf is not imagining things that don't already exist. We humans have this ability. Like, look at how we live, and it is our gift in life to use it, to apply it, and it is the biggest joy and fulfillment to do that. So really, tell a friend about this project. Visit my website, tatianadenis.com. Sign up to the mini course, and we'll continue this conversation. And I also have some paid things that I offer. A 21-day challenge course. If you want to start drawing kawaii, because that's actually where it originates. I draw kawaii art and I make products with it, and that's what I teach, because I believe in creating more beauty in this world, and co-creating with you is bliss. And we have a membership, the Kawaii Drawing Club, where if you want to have a direct communication channel with me, then you can join the club. And not just me, oh my goodness, there are so many beautiful people. Some of you are here now on the live stream. Like Laura, I see you just joined. And what we have at the Kawaii Drawing Club is truly, truly magical. That's why there's no way I could walk away from it, Yeah, so check it out and let me know in the comments what other topics you would like to hear about. What's active for you in life? What are you figuring out? What is your what solutions are you looking for right now? Now, once I finish the live stream, the live chat will go away, but the comments they won't go away. They will be in the replay, but you couldn't comment in the live chat, but you can comment on the video. So let me know. Yes. Thank you for being here, for watching, for creating. And I will see you same time, same place next week. Bye.